What is going on, guys? It is the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you an awesome video. This is a pretty cool video I haven't tried before. Cedar Fair possible coaster cycle for the upcoming years. I think a lot of people have been complaining that their home Cedar Fair park hasn't been getting a new coaster in a long time, which includes Valley Fair, Worlds of Fun, and Michigan's Adventure. And those parks are declining in popularity due to that. But more families are going to those parks because of the lower amount of thrills. But eventually, the thrill junkies will not be going to these parks that often, really, at all. And for the upcoming years, I think Cedar Fair needs a very good trend that at least over one coaster per year. I think only one coaster per year. You would have to wait 11 years for your park to get a new coaster, which I think that's pretty stupid. So I'm thinking that one of these three plans could be good. I think the smallest park and the largest park get coasters first, and then moving on. Cedar Point could get an RMC, like renovating Mean Streak, while Michigan's Adventure gets a GCI wooden coaster. Kings Island and California's Great America could come up next, because California's Great America is a bit smaller than Valley Fair, so that's why I'm putting them in front of Valley Fair. While Kings Island gets a massive B&M Giga Coaster, a Skyrocket 2 model could go to California's Great America. And with Kings Dominion, I think they'll get a B&M Hyper Coaster, while Valley Fair gets a Premier Rides Launch Coaster. An original RMC, like a launched RMC, or a regular RMC with a lift hill, similar to Goliath at Six Flags Great America, could come to Carowinds, while Worlds of Fun gets a cheap Premier Ride Skyrocket 2 model that's only worth $5 million. For Knott's Berry Farm, I think they could get a GCI wooden coaster, while Dorney Park also gets a GCI wooden coaster, while Canada's Wonderland gets an RMC of Wild Beast. I think this cycle is probably the least likely of these, because it isn't the greatest cycle, in my opinion. It's not as efficient, but it is efficient because once every 5 years, a Cedar Fair, your local Cedar Fair park will get a new coaster, but I think there are some better options. Number 2, 2 roller coasters at a time no matter what coaster type. They could have 2 parks get it, a larger park and then a smaller park. The last park to get a new coaster, which is Worlds of Fun here, will have to wait after the next 5-year cycle, which does kind of stink, but I think Cedar Fair could do this. While Cedar Point RMC's Mean Streak, Valley Fair could get a B&M Invert. Kings Island then could get a B&M Giga Coaster, while a GCI wooden coaster goes to Dorney Park. Canada's Wonderland could RMC Wild Beast, while Knott's Berry Farm gets a GCI wooden coaster. Then Carowinds, the next year after that, gets an original RMC, while Michigan's Adventure RMC's Wolverine Wildcat. And then the next year after that, Kings Dominion could get a B&M Hyper Coaster, while Worlds of Fun can get a Premier Ride Skyrocket 2. Then the cycle would restart after 5 years, and the park that didn't get a new coaster gets the new coaster first, while Cedar Point gets a B&M Flying Coaster, which is 2 coasters per year, and Worlds of Fun, the last park on the 10 coasters of this 5-year thing. Worlds of Fun wouldn't get a new coaster in the next 5-year cycle, and would just keep going, and it would be a pretty efficient cycle, and I think this cycle works the best for Cedar Fair. And number 3, work with 2 large parks, then 2 small parks, and they should get a 12th park. I think this plan is pretty good, because Cedar Fair, each park could get a new coaster every 6 years, which is not bad for some of these parks, like Michigan's Adventure, Valley Fair, but it is kind of a complaint for people that love to go to Cedar Point, Kings Island, and Kings Dominion. But I think this plan could work out pretty good. RMC Mean Streak and would be good for Cedar Point, and then Carowinds could get a B&M launched wing coaster, Then the next year, 2 smaller parks could get a new coaster. Valley Fair could get a B&M invert with 4 inversions. It could be like one of those gate coasters. And Michigan's Adventure could get a GCI wooden coaster due to how much land they have, and they won't have to remove anything. Kings Island could get a B&M Giga Coaster, while Kings Dominion gets a B&M Hypercoaster. The Year of the Kings, hooray. Anyway, California's Great America could get a B&M Hypercoaster, while Worlds of Fun gets a cheap Premier Rides coaster that's worth only $5 to $6 million. And then I think Cedar Fair could buy Lagoon Park and give it a better coaster collection than what it currently is. Other than their big 3, they don't really have any notable coasters. Besides Wicked and Cannibal and their Schwarzkopf looping coaster, they don't really have any other good coasters. So a B&M wing coaster would be a great fit. Canada's Wonderland could RMC Wild Beast. The same year as Lagoon Park gets the wing coaster. And then Knott's Berry Farm and Dorney Park could get GCI wooden coasters. And I think the second plan I said would work the best for Cedar Fair with the 5-year cycle. But thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.